Hey friends, it's Tina. I think I'm live. Let me just double check this because Facebook has kind of changed up the way that the live broadcasts work, and I want to make sure that I am live on my personal timeline. Let's see here. Yes, I'm there. Okay, cool. All right. Hey, happy Thursday, I guess it is. I'm not going to keep you long, but I just feel very led to get on here and talk to you guys about some things, especially after watching our fantastic president talk today about some of the things that he was sharing about being able to get medications to people who need them. And so it really kind of stirred some thoughts inside of me that have been brewing for a while. Just to kind of give you some background, because some of you may have just learned who I am, or you maybe just started following me or whatever. Just want to kind of tell you a little bit about where I've come from and why I'm at work, why I'm talking to you about this kind of stuff. So I'm very passionate about therapeutics over prescriptions. I have, last 7 years, I have been pretty much studying that as a hobby, but some things happened this year that has made that more of a profession. Just kind of tell you a little bit about me and where my health came in to that. In 2012, I was diagnosed with a debilitating autoimmune condition, and I was handed a stack full of prescriptions, most of which are addictive. And like many of you, I have had a lot of addiction issues in my family, and I just didn't want to become one of those people that have to rely on medications for any reason, much less abuse them. So I decided that I was ready to figure out how to help my body heal itself. I began to pray and ask God to show me ways that would heal my body. And after some research, I went to Google, I went to all kinds of really good resources. I watched a lot of documentaries on the corruption in the food industry and the pharmaceutical industry, and just really started learning. My family, all of us started learning what is wrong with America and really the world, but more so in America. And I started finding foods that were leading to my inflammation. I learned about processed foods, wheat, sugar, a lot of the additives and preservatives and the things that make food taste good and sell well, the processing, all of the things with the food has created kind of an anti-food. And so while a lot of you guys have been stocking up on food, I hope that they've been more of a whole food source. That's what we've been doing, is stocking up on whole food sources. But over the last 7 years, I have transformed my health through eating whole foods, using therapeutic plants either in my diet or in the form of herbs, flower essences, and even essential oils over the period of time. And I can tell you that I no longer have an autoimmune condition. I believe that the Creator created our body to heal itself, but we have to give it the right environment. I've done many talks on this. I've done several other videos on it. But now more than ever, I'm really passionate about it because, as I turn on the news, and I'm trying not to do that too much, but I'm realizing that a lot of the things that are going on, if we had a strong immune system, we wouldn't have to worry so much about having to deal with anything that would be contagious. So I'm not going to get into like a lesson on your body because I think you should research that yourself. But a couple of little tips here. Your immune system does start in the gut. So if you're not eating the right foods, then you may not have a strong immune system, and you may be one of those kind of people that pick up everything that comes along. You may have some achy joints, and you may not be going to the bathroom the way you should. You may have some added weight. You may have some emotional disorders. Just a lot of things go back to the gut. So I'm super interested in this, not just for myself, but I feel that God has literally called me into this marketplace to be a light, to be a testimony, to be an information resource to teach people. And although I do teach full time, it's not always been from this platform. I typically teach in some of our private groups places where I have thousands of people who are kind of on this same path. They're driving in this same lane, so to speak. And so I felt very compelled to come to you today, anyone publicly who wants to hear this message or share this message, just to be able to have some insight into where we've been in history and where I think we're going. And so in January of this year, we are members of Church of the Highlands. We go to the Alabaster campus, and we participated in the 21 days of prayer and fasting. Well, during that time, I felt a strong leading from the Lord to go back to school. I barely graduated high school, y'all. I went to 2 quarters of college and I absolutely hated it. I went into the salon business and thrived. I was a licensed manicurist for almost 30 years and a salon owner, and I loved that industry. But there again, a lot of the things that I was coming into contact with weren't serving my body well in the environment I was trying to create to heal myself. So a series of circumstances, I left that industry and became a full-time educator and speaker and podcaster and that kind of thing for health and information. So when I felt this calling to go back to school, I began to investigate, check around with some of my friends, see where they went. And I landed at a place called Trinity School for Natural Health. It's all online, so that's good. I can still go to class. It's the particular certification that I'm in right now is called Certified Natural Health Professional. And it's a 10-month program. So by the end of this year, close to Thanksgiving, I'll have that certification. And I can opt in to go back and take the next course, which would basically certify me as a natural health practitioner. And so I will most likely do that. And just so you know, in January, I had no idea, none of us did, about where we would be right now. It's March 20th. It's the first day of spring. Isn't it the 20th? No, it's the 19th. This is the marking of the beginning of spring, and we had all kind of plans, right? But none of us are doing those plans because they've all been canceled because of this virus that's contagious and everybody's talking about. So the fact that the Lord called me to go back to school has now become pretty evident in what's going on in the world, and I am honored and I feel blessed to be a part of this education. So I want to share with you some of the highlights that I've learned. This one quote is by one of my instructors. Her name is Judy Masters. And Judy she has tons of certifications and has been at this natural health thing for a long time. I just really love learning under Judy. So this quote was from a lesson this week on herbology. And so this is becoming self-sufficient. So quote, "Health freedom does not happen without self-sufficiency. The more we rely on an establishment to take care of us, the less self-reliant we become." So I love that quote, and it just lit a fire under me this week. And every day that I've watched the president, that's continued to light a fire under me. So I want to go to some of these notes, and I have notes all over the place from my school, and I literally pulled them out of my binder to share with you. So some history about where natural medicine, because it was the original medicine, where it went and why. And if you want to do some research, I urge you to do it. Look into the history of naturopathy. It's pretty crazy. I mean, we go back to Hippocrates, 5,000-6,000 years ago, natural medicine. The Bible's full of scriptures on natural things. When people were sick in the Bible times, they would go to their pastors. They would go to their priest to be anointed and to be prayed over. And so I think we've gotten so far away from that. And there's a reason. There's an agenda there. And I just want to shed some light on this. And I hope this video doesn't get deleted because it might ruffle some other feathers. So let's talk about some of the opponents of naturopathy. One of the main opponents of naturopathy, and I have some facts here, is the AMA, the American Medical Association. In 1847, the AMA was formed in Philadelphia, and at that first meeting, you had 250 doctors, 24 different states, 40 different medical societies, and 28 allopathic colleges. Now, let me just interject this. I'm not against doctors. I'm not against medicine. I'm not against modern science. What I am against is facts and data and truths being kept from us for the almighty dollar. Okay? So, the purpose of this first gathering in 1847 in Philadelphia was to normalize and regulate the profession and take a stand against a growing army of eclectic, homeopathic, and neo-Thomsonian doctors and practitioners whose growing popularity threatened the livelihood of the allopaths. The AMA policy stood until 1987, when another organization was charged. The AMA, this other organization, little chiropractic organization, thank your chiropractor, they came against the AMA and charged them and found them guilty of violating antitrust laws, and they were ordered to revamp their policy. So thank your chiropractor for that, and that little group of people that went against a big giant, okay? So other little things in history, big things in history that have happened. The Pure Food and Drug Act of 1906. This was Dr. Harvey Wiley, and it was called the Wiley Act. And it went on with several different things. Wiley, he was a chemist in the Department of Agriculture, and he recruited the largest food producers and the pharmaceutical manufacturers, the AMA, and various other consumer groups, and faced off with the powerful beef trust, the beef growers. Upton Sinclair, author of The Jungle, he exposed horrid conditions in stockyards and the meat packing industry. The Pure Food and Drug Act was passed on June 30th. Some of this goes back to some of the factory farming that was going on in the time. You think about cows standing in their own feces and urine, and how those situations created disease. And so we created medicines to give to the cows so that they wouldn't get sick, and we wouldn't get sick from eating the products from those animals. And so think about the money train that came in for pharmaceutical companies to be able to make money off those medicines that went into that beef. There was, if you trace this back, there's always some kind of scare tactic. Don't take that. You don't know what's in it. There is, let me see, my notes are really small, stealthily buried in the legislation. That never happens, right? Nobody ever buries any kind of agenda in some legislation that they're trying to pass, but it was touted as a victory and a giant step towards food safety. The major pharmaceutical manufacturers managed to include a stipulation curtailing the manufacture and distribution of unproven remedies and medications from smaller independent companies that had created competition. So you think about, I sometimes take an empty capsule and sometimes put herbs in it and put it in my body. That would have gotten me in trouble. And anything violating that act could have been seized and responsible parties put in jail. So there's been a lot of situations through the years that have made people who are into natural wellness identified as quacks. When you look up the definition of the word quack, you will see that it pretty much is related to people who are using things that are not approved by governing agencies. So, okay, there's a thing called the Flexner Report. This put a kibosh on everything. So, as if the AMA's efforts weren't sufficient enough to wrangle the upstarts, in 1910, educator Abraham Flexner wrote a book-length report called The Medical Education in the United States and Canada, and it was known as the Flexner Report. Y'all go Google all this, okay? As the Pure Food and Drug Act sought to eliminate competitors of the pharmaceutical companies, medical education in the United States and Canada set about to discredit any educational institute and that graduated botanical doctors. So you think about this. You think about, well, your doctor doesn't know a whole lot about nutrition and natural things, herbs and stuff, right? Because they didn't teach it in college. They didn't teach it because in this time, the financial backers of those colleges, along with these organizations that felt competition on their cash cow, forced colleges and universities to take that education out of their curriculum. Let me keep going. So the Flexner Report contributed to a period of extreme reform of medical schools in North America and suppression of any eclectic practices. Commissioned by the Carnegie Foundation and supported by funds from several other special interest foundations, its primary impact was to eliminate commercial or private medical schools, strengthen university affiliation, and discredit alternatives such as homeopathy and herbal medicine, electromagnetic field therapy, naturopathy, and other eclectic medicine practices, forcing medical schools to drop those curricula. So, follow the money. Follow the money, right? It goes on and on and on. You'll find where Rockefeller got involved in 1913. You'll find where they were behind the money that created the vaccine for yellow fever. You'll find that after the war in the 40s and 50s, the focus was shifted on what they called then the Green Revolution, which was the introduction of genetic modified crops. Now, that might have been to feed more people, but I promise you, we can feed the people. In fact, there's a guy that I follow, and you should go follow him. His name is Dr. Mark Hyman, and he is a medical doctor, a good guy, and he has a podcast. He has, I get an email from him just about every day, but he's written a new book called Food Fix, and it uncovers a lot of these things that help us to know that this is not just like a conspiracy. It's true things that have been happening. So, the FDA comes in, and there's just so much more. What I really want you guys to do is to empower yourself with education. I'm not saying you all have to go and enter into some kind of online education like I did with Trinity School of Natural Health. I am saying that they are available and it is online, and that it is some really good higher education that is solid truth. And moving into the unknown of what's going on in America, we don't know what we need to know at this point. I would recommend that you find yourself some good printed reference material, things that may help you understand just how beneficial the plants are growing around your yard. You may have seen my Facebook post yesterday and some of my stories on Instagram and Facebook where I was taking photos of plants around my yard, literally, and looking around to see what can I find out about these plants. One particular plant I found out is excellent when it's processed in your home and taken as a dietary supplement. It helps with hacking coughs. Who wants to know about controlling hacking coughs right now? The answer might be in your front yard. So first of all, stop spraying Roundup on your yard. That's a whole nother broadcast. Stop using chemical contaminants around your home. Stop applying products on your body that are loaded with chemical contaminants. I share with you just a few things about the food and the pharmacy, but there's so much more. If you follow the trends, most likely there's a money trail. There's somebody that's making money in that. And so what I really want all of you to do is start where I started 7 years ago. When I got that scary diagnosis, what was the first thing I did? I prayed. I prayed and I asked God, show me the things that I need to do to heal my body. Now, if you don't believe in God or you don't have a relationship with Him and you don't buy into that, now's a really good time to explore that and research it as well. God's word in Psalms 119:105 says, "Your word is a lamp to guide my feet and a light to my path." So I look to God's word and I pray and I wait for him. And you know what he's showing me? He's showing me to have peace. He's given me faith over fear. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of this virus. I'm not afraid of the unknown. I've read my Bible and I know that we win. And I urge you to come into some kind of relationship, explore. My church, even though I typically attend the Alabaster campus, we are no longer meeting, but we are meeting online. And you can go on Facebook or on the internet to churchofthehighlands.com, and you can go back and you can watch any of our past recorded messages. There are free resources available to you there. You can reach out to me if there's something that you have that you're just got a burning question you want to talk to me about my faith. I'm an open book in that way. But I urge you to start there. Find your faith, find your grounding in your faith, and stop being afraid. Fear in the body is a negative emotion. Fear is not of God, and negative emotions can set up and cause physical manifestations in your body. And that can lead to disease. We all know that stress causes disease, but we don't ever really sit and think, well, how did I go from having a really crappy day and dealing with fear and anger and frustration and unforgiveness to I've got this big, scary, hairy diagnosis that's terminal. So the thing is to walk in this cleaner lifestyle every single day. You know people close to you that have been walking this path. I may be one of them. This video may have been shared to you from somebody. Ask them to show you. There are so many companies out there. I happen to represent one of them, and we do not have the freedom to teach you what we know because of some of these governing regulations. I do believe, though, that we have a president now that recognizes that there are therapies available that won't kill you, that may help you. And I am excited to see that the doors may be opening even more and these restrictions may be lowered so that I can teach you what I enjoy learning, and I can show you some of the things that I don't have the right to show you right now. But you do have the right to buy things. You have the right to study. You have the right to learn, and you have the right to apply what you're learning to your life. You have these rights. And so I suggest you exercise those rights. Now, here's what you can expect, because me and my friends in these natural companies, we're experiencing exponential growth. My particular company is up over 1,000% worldwide. We got an email last night that we are taking 7 to 10 days just to process the orders that are coming in. We have products that are out of stock, but we have amazing people that are working to get these products back in stock because they are in such demand. Now, what you also need to realize is that these products are based off of nature. They're grown someplace. They're not grown in a lab. And so you have to exercise patience. Get ahead of the curve. Go ahead and be one of those people that stock up and get the things you need in your home. Because if you wait until later, you may be needing to grow it yourself. Okay, so I've got to dip out. I have a meeting here in about 12 minutes with some amazing people that I meet with every Thursday. And if you have any questions about this kind of stuff, let me know. But do your homework. Google is wide open right now. It is like the heavens have shone on Google, and you can find anything you want to find that used to be previously censored to keep you from being in the know. So whatever you're passionate about, whether you're questioning vaccine safety or essential oil safety or, gosh, some of this government stuff, some of these conspiracies I see friends talking about, it's all an open book right now, and you have the right to go learn about it. So stop being afraid and get out there and educate yourself and empower yourself, awaken yourself. You and your family, we've got this. When we get to the other side of it, this is going to be an even better world to live in, and I am excited to see it. So I love you guys. I'm praying for you, and I'll be checking in later after my meeting. Talk to you. Bye-bye.